A A A A A. Hello, everyone. Welcome again. Whoop, my mistake. Welcome again to a new stream of me reading fanfiction again. So, on today's stream, we will continue our story that we've been reading from Wattpad Bloodthirst from My Hero Academia. So then again, let me just pause the music because I get distracted. And let me share you guys the the page. There we go. So, how wing blah 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 blah. Excellent. Next part. Okay, so we've established that we were continue. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know how to talk. Okay. Uh, Again, we damn it. Okay, we are on. Well, last time we ended up on chapter 8, like here, and we will continue from there. So again, I'm still planning on how we're going to, because I don't think we're going to finish this completely and then start this. I was planning to get to the middle of the story and then we can start from changing history. But I can't remember how many chapters there were. So let's check all together. We are in chapter 8. There are 44. Hmm. We'll see how advanced we go because um we're going to be blah, blah, blah. We would have like a month because this is the fourth week I'm doing this. Oh my goodness, how time flies when you're having fun and when school is killing you. Anyways, so let's continue the story. A little recap of what had happened. Again, we're vampires. Well, we are a vampire that was banished from our world, and we ended up on My Hero Academia, of course. We've met Izuku, we've met Kachan. No, hey, we fought. Oh my gosh, what I thought the mic just went. Brrr. Let me just adjust the microphone. I think it's I think it's a little lower now. Okay. Anyway, so we fought Kachan. We met Kaminari also. That was a blast. We get lost in the mall, and we got enrolled on school because we cannot we cannot read Japanese. Apparently, well, in real life, I can't also read Japanese, so I I am represented in this story. Damn it! I thought ah I'm trying this new microphone, so I'm adjusting the settings. I apologize in advance. Okay, so let's continue. Chapter 8: Arcade Games and Friends. Okay, this is this is a phone text, I assuming. Like, hello, this is Athena texting you. Got your number from Izuku. I have I have a phone now. Yeah, I come in. Like, whoa, hey Athena. I thought you never text me. Midoriya never reached out to me, so I wonder if I should do it first or not. Izuku is shy. Is shy. Shie Hazaikai. Is shy. That's all. How are you doing? Are those typos or is it some cool new way of texting? But I'm good doing, thanks for asking. WPU. What about you? What does that what does that mean? It means what about you? Haha. Oh, sorry. Texting is hard. A cute girl who weirdly not touching with technology, that just makes you extra cute. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I'm killing myself in this new microphone. What the fudge? What the fudge? I think there we go. Don't worry, you've never had a cell phone until now, right? Up until now, right? You'll get used to it eventually. Okay, I'm trying my best. Me too, sweetie. That makes us two. And you're doing great. By the way, would you ever want to meet up sometime to hang out and to get know each other better? Oh, hold on. There we go. Yes, that would be really fun. And what is, by the way? It means by the way. Ha, I already knew that. So I'm not completely lost. Let me just again. Damn, I should have test this microphone before doing a stream. Oopsie doodle. Okay, anyways, so wow, you really are caught up with the common texting or internet slang at all, huh? Guess I just have to teach you in my ways. Yay! I'm basically a meme king, to be honest. Meme. I guess I should have expected that. It makes sense since I can explain it to you in person. So, are you free soon? I am. After school. Or in the weekend. Anytime. I started school recently too. Oh, you weren't in school until now? Oh, you mean you've been homeschooled and stuff, right? Yes. That's cool. I've never met anyone who's been homeschooled. How is uh, how are you liking being in class with other students? So much fun. Writing and reading is very hard. Writing. You're not a native Japanese speaker, you mean? Like, it's not the language you grew up using? No? I'm from a different um, country. Sure, let's go with that excuse. Wow, I couldn't tell because you sound fluent. But I guess writing and reading is in a different language is a bit more difficult than speaking it. Yeah, hopefully I'll get better soon. I guess that explains the typos. You're awesome, Athena. Just keep it up. Oh, thanks you. Let's decide on a place to meet up when we are free. I can't believe I get to hang out with a super nice, cute girl like you. I'm so excited. Okay, I'm excited too. That was a good attempt, lol. Nice chat. Are you sure? Great. Started everything fine. Are you sure you don't want to call Mizuku? No, it's okay, he insisted. He seems to want to hang out with you, not me. That's the whole reason he had me say you're the. Ah! That's the whole reason he had me save his number in the first place. And I think this would be good for you. You're still getting used to this world, but we can't be together every single moment of the day. You'll get some important practice this way. Plus, I'm sure you might want to make another friends too. It's probably boring always talking to a guy like me. No! Izuku finished off his sentence with a weak chuckle, awkwardly rubbing his neck. You really hate it that he has such low self-confidence. He was an amazing person, and he deserved to know that much. Clearly, all of Katsuki's bullying has really left its mark. Stupid bastard. You are practically itching to batch his face in again. You pouted, but nodded in understanding. Well, okay then. I'll meet Kaminari on my way this time, but maybe you'll come with us in the future. I'm sure he'll like to be friends with you too. I have a phone now, so I can call you if anything happens, right? Of course! If you ever start to feel uncomfortable for whatever reason, or if you end up getting lost while trying to make your way home, don't hesitate to call me. I'll be keeping an eye on my phone, so so don't to be worried by so don't be too worried and just try to have a nice time. He encouraged. Izuku was always looking out for you, even though it hadn't been all that long since you met. He cared for you as he cared for you as if you already spent several years together. You doubted anyone else would have believed your story and gone out in their way to help you like this. He really was special. You couldn't believe that you were actually thinking this, but you were kind of glad your parents had banished you. Otherwise, you and Izuku would have never met. Izuku took a few more moments just to make sure you packed all the essentials in your bag. Your phone, obviously, but also a pass to the board to the bullet train and a basic first aid, since you apparently haven't had a knack of getting yourself in trouble. Just like that, it was time to make your first real trip in the new world. Izuku waved you off with a bright smile, although you didn't miss the visible nervousness in his expression. He clearly knew you needed to get used to things on your own, but he couldn't help to look a little worried. Thankfully, since you had some of Katsuki's blood to drink recently, you weren't running the risk of starving or anything like that. Izuku had gone through all the instructions with you beforehand. He told you exactly which stop you needed to get off and where to go from in order to meet up with Kaminari. He also written out a little note using one of the apps in your phone. If you struggle to understand part of it, worst case scenario, you could just ask someone for directions. You weren't too worried about getting lost. Then again, you always seem rather careless, so perhaps it wouldn't hurt to be a worry, at least a little. The first half of your trip went by a flash. You spent the whole time staring out the windows of the bullet train with your lips part in awe. This is so much faster than I expected. Even those big vehicles with wheels, cars like Izuku called them, don't go this fast. Whoa. No matter how much you learn about this world, there was always so much more for you to experience for the first time. You seem to be drawing quite a little bit of attention to yourself, excited, screaming in your seat and all, but you could really care less. You were actually quite lucky that this was the world you've been transported to. It was fun and so much different from your own. You could have really drawn the short end of the stick and ended up in some hellscape perhaps, ravaged by war. Mm, just wait a few seasons. And eventually, the train reached your destination. So you got off and glanced down at the note up on your phone to orient yourself for a reminder of your trip. You still struggled to read and write perfectly, but Isuke had thoroughly drilled all the steps into your head, so you managed to find your way around based on memory alone. It seemed like you were nearing the meeting spot you and Kaminari had both agreed on. Eager to see him again, you started gazing around all over the place. Toot toot toot. There. Your excitement, however, was short-lived. It only took a few seconds for your smile to drop all at once. There was an unpleasant snatch in the air. It made your stomach clench into a tight knot. Frankly speaking, it was unlike anything you ever smelled before. Tainted blood. It was the only way you could think to describe it. It was especially overwhelming when a guy angrily shoved past you, muttering something under his breath. He was dressed all in black, with a hood pulled over his head, and you could barely see a pale blue locks of delicious hair sticking out. Oh no! The smell had to be coming from him. Something about him. It made you really, really uncomfortable. Uncomfortable. Yuck, you sure? Definitely won't even be drinking any of his blood. Thankfully, the smell dissipated the further the guy walked away from you. And stay away from her, please. A few moments later, it was soon to be replaced by a pleasant smell, paired with a cheaper voice that you recognize. Athena! Kaminari greeted, grinning ear to ear. Hey, did you just get here? I hope I didn't make you wait too long. You smiled, quickly returned. Hi, Kaminari. Yep, I just got here a few seconds ago. You definitely didn't make me wait. It's nice to see you again. I invited Izuku to come with us as well, but he's a bit shy. I'm hoping to convince him to come next time, though. Next time? Kaminari blinked. His eyes were big and hopeful. There's going to be a next time? Of course! You really seems nice. It's pretty good. I'm pretty good judge of character, so I can just tell. Kaminari's grin seemed to grow even bigger. His cheeks even flushed a bit. Well, I'm glad you think so, he said. You're super nice too, Athena. To be honest, most girls don't really give me the time of the day. I guess they think I come on too strong or something. I'm not really sure. But that doesn't even matter anymore because I've already scored some time with the cutest girl ever. Oh, he's so cute! You chuckled softly. He seemed to like doing out of compliments quite often. Not that you could say that you really minded. Anyways, you were excited for this. Since coming to this world, you've been stuck to Izuku's side like glue because there was just way too many things you didn't understand. Having the chance to spend with someone new was a nice change of pace, every now and then. Oh, right, you remember. Then proceeding to dig something out of your bag. Kaminari, look! This is my cell phone! You proudly held up the phone right in front of his face, practically buzzing with excitement. Kaminari definitely didn't look as hype as you about it as you were, but you suppose that was only normal, since it was hardly a novel concept to him. Looks like a model from a few years back, he remarked. Is it okay? The software is not too out of date or anything, right? Software? You gasped stupidly. Um, I don't know what that is. Ah, my bad. You're still getting used to finally having your phone on your own, aren't you? Hmm. I'm not sure what you mean by out of date, but it really works. It really works. It really works really well. No, what? But it works really well. Izuku showed me that I can even play games on it. Isn't that so cool? I have this one game, you mumble scrubbing through the apps. It's called Floppy Bird, and it's really hard. My high score is 3. Kaminari was beating the back the urge to laugh. Floppy Bird, huh? Yeah, that game's pretty rough. I know a lot of people that used to get super angry when they play it. A high score of 3, though? That's impressive. Oh my gosh, I got the memories, Brad. Oh my gosh, the memories when I played that game. Oh my goodness. Oh, oh my gosh, the stress. Anyways, it's good? You ask, hopefully. Sure, let's say that. You should try, you say, passing your phone over him. It's so hard trying to keep the bird from falling. I didn't realize birds needs to put this much effort to maintain their flying. I suddenly know how persistent they are. This time Kaminari fully laughed, but hastily clamped the palm over his mouth. I don't think a game is meant to be accurate representation of how birds fly in the real world. They just want to make it challenging for their player base so they would rage. Ha, here, watch this. And rage they were. You did just that. Eyes wide as you carefully observe how Kaminari played the game with what you could only describe as near mastery. You really struggled to obtain your high score, but Kaminari blew past it in no flat time. 25? You marvel. I didn't even know it was possible to get that far. That's not even anywhere close to my high score, he proudly boasted, nose pointing towards the sky and everything. It's all right though, he said, giving you a gentle smile and he patted your shoulder. You'll get better the more you play. It took me a while to get good at this game back when I first started playing. Maybe you'll even beat my high score one day. What is your high score? You ready for this? Kaminari grinned, then paused for effect. It's almost 200. A violent gasp left your mouth. You're an expert! There's no way I'll ever get that far. I guess my excellence can be a little intimidating. You just have to believe in yourself. Never say never. Kaminari had instantly gained a lot of respect in your eyes. Anyone who was that good at Floppy Bird was clearly a person of high value. Even Izuku, the sweetest guy in the world, had struggled to get a score of 7 when he tried playing on your phone. Anyways, Kaminari whipped up. We can leave the Floppy Bird from another day. There's a lot of cool places around here, so that's why I pick it as our meetup spot. We could go to an arcade nearby if you wanted to try out some more games. There's also karaoke if that's what you're into. Let's do both, you enthused. I want to try everything that's fun. Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You know what's up, Athena? He grinned, sticking his thumbs in approval. You nodded happily. I do want I do know what's up. It's the sky. That's not really what I meant, but whatever. I have plenty time to teach you different expressions. Oh, and memes too, of course. You both decided to go to the arcade first to try out the games Kaminari had mentioned. There really were so many different kinds that it was actually a bit overwhelming. The arcade was littered with these big machines that each display a different game on their screen. Kaminari explained that there were various genres of video games, shooting games, music themed games, fighting games. Honestly, the list went on and on. What's this one? You ask, pointing to a game that looked quite unique than compared to the rest. Oh, that's a DDR machine, Kaminari said. You basically just look at the screen and a bunch of different arrows will appear that you need to hit in the time with the music. See that platform? You're supposed to stand on it and tap your feet on the rows when it's the right time. If you got if you got good rhythm, you might enjoy it. So it's pretty much just dancing, you clarified. Yeah, kind of. I like dancing. Maybe it'll be good. Maybe I'll be good at this one. You've been training various styles of dance back in your own world as part of your royal education. Since this was something that you actually experienced in, you felt quite confident that you did well. Needless to say, you were that wrong. It's going too fast, you whined, practically trying to step on the music in time. The arrows were whizzing by on the screen. You hadn't expected it for to be at such a high pace. Was doing this even humanly possible? Whoops! Kaminari chuckled. The difficulty was set to max, and it's pretty hard song. And it's a pretty hard song too. Let's just change the settings real quick. You can start in the beginner mode. Curses. Even at dancing, which you never considered a game before, it seems like your abilities were so part in this world. I'm so bad at this, you pouted. Although you were relieved that once Kaminari had changed some settings around, the arrows were coming up a screen a lot slower. You could actually keep up with them now. Well, he did say this was beginner mode after all. You spent a little while clearing the easy songs, and it helped you rebuild some of your confidence. Then Kaminari suggested gradually cranking up at the difficulty to see what you could or couldn't handle. Remembering your pathetic attempt at the start, you were feeling too optimistic. But it turned out you were learning a lot quicker than you even realized. Actually, this wasn't proper dancing. Now that you thought about it, it was just a test of your reflex. And as a vampire, your reflexes and senses were always being sharp. The initial exposure to the highest difficulty of the game had spooked you a bit, but you were working up your weight with a surprising ease. I just need to keep calm. Don't think. I just need to keep calm. Don't think of it as dancing. Think of it as reacting at the perfect time. Whoa, Athena! You're doing so well! Kaminari was now cheering you on with a big smile on his face. You appreciate the support. And it did make you feel a bit better about yourself. You were starting to get used to this. Actually, this level of difficulty was starting to feel a little too easy. Ah, yes, I'm becoming a pro. Perfect score. You mouthed, reading what it said on screen. You were also quite impressed with yourself for having read it without making any mistakes. Slowly but surely, you were coming in terms with this new world. Kaminari excitedly shook you by the shoulders. You improved so quickly, it's so real! Expert difficult was a little too much for your first try, I guess, but now that you've done some practice, it's clear that you're really good at this. I think I'm ready for the expert mode now. You nodded. That's a pretty big jump, he admitted. I'm not good at DDR at all, but I would have been able to do any more recent songs you just did. Are you sure you want to try an expert again? Yeah, I want to challenge myself. Cool, I can respect that. Good luck, Athena. Do your best. The game loaded into the first song you tried at the very beginning, in the exact same difficulty mode. You had a surprisingly serious expression for what was supposed to be nothing more than a light-hearted game. To some degree, you were testing yourself, testing to see how competent you are here in a different world. You took a deep breath to calm yourself, then waited for the song to begin. There were a few moments before the arrows actually began showing up, and you studied the screen with wide eyes, unwillingly to miss a single bit. The song started, and you were once again thrown into a supersonic space. Except this time, you didn't allow yourself to get swept up into it. You remained aware of the position of your body on the DDR platform. You let every breath pass through you without wasting any energy. And with your trained high, calculating eyes, you didn't let a single arrow slip out of your field of vision. It happens sometimes. There were moments when you enter a sort of trance, driven purely by instinct. Humans were also capable of such feats, but it was much more rare. The strongest of vampires were said to persist in these trances for hours or even days at a time, perfectly aware of their body and surroundings in space and time. Before you even realized it, the song had ended and you snapped back to reality. Oh, you said simply, it's done? When you turned, Kaminari was gaping at you. It looked like a few other people in the arcade had formed a small crowd and had been watching you this whole time. They started applauding out. Sorry. They started applauding you out of nowhere. commending you for having done so well. That's the highest score anyone's gotten that song in expert difficulty, one of them congratulated. You should put your name down as the record holder. Name? Oh, I guess I could. I really did the best out of everyone? You ask, wondering if this was just some sort of joke. Based on your experience so far, you were incredibly awful at video games, so it sounded a bit hard to believe. You did! This time it was Kaminari who cried out. His hands were balled into fists. He kept thrusting them into the air, making what you could only assume a cheering motion. You're so cool, Athena! A total newbie at DDR broke this arcade's record just like that! A wobbly smile rose to your lips. You had to admit, it did feel pretty good. This wasn't cheating, wasn't it? Sure, you were a vampire, but other people in this world also had all sort of power quirks that could have given them an advance when playing that game. Yeah, you beat the record fair and square. I guess I'm even more awesome than I realized. You squaring with your hands with your hips and revealing into applause. At the risk of becoming conceited, though, you decided that it was enough DDR for that one day. You tried out some of the other arcade games with Kaminari, and not surprisingly, sucked major ass at the rest of them. For now, DDR was the one game you were good at. You could live with that. After having fun at the arcade for a while, you also went to try that karaoke thing that Kaminari had mentioned. As it turned out, karaoke referred to singing popular songs with some music in the background. Obviously, you didn't know any songs from this world, so you just went along with what Kaminari picked, and did your best to match him. Thankfully, the lyrics appear on the screen, so it was easy enough to follow along, ignoring some of the grammatical mistakes you made while incorrectly read a few words. In all in all, it was a lot of fun. There was so much more to do in this world than your old one. Damn, you like it here. A lot more than you've been expecting. It's if you never saw your parents again, you would make sure to brag about everything they missed out on. Today was great, Kaminari sighed happily, stretching his arms over his head. Did you have fun too, Athena? I did, you grinned. Of course I did. I got to try so much new stuff, and I have the company of a cool guy like you. Cool guy? He said breathlessly. He almost looked like like he wanted to cry happy tears. Nobody's ever called me that before. People sometimes say I'm a poser or that I try too hard to act in a certain way. I've been accused of having a fake personality before, but I can't help it. It's just the kind of the kind of person I am. You furrow your brows. Whoever said that was clearly talking out of their ass. You seem nothing but genuine to me. Don't worry too much about it. Some people will always try to be mean for no reason. Maybe they're just jealous. The image of Katsuki came to mind. Yeah, people like him, who enjoy hurting others unprompt, really were the absolute worst. Kaminari was smiling again, but it was less eager than the ones he showed you up until now. This one seemed more subdued, but also more heartfelt. You suppose your words must have resonated with him. Thanks, Athena, he chuckled. You're really great. As long as you and my other friends like who I am, there's no reason to doubt myself. I don't care if I get called cringe or whatever. I'll just be myself. You nodded in return, but were quickly forced to swallow. You spent several hours around Kaminari today, and his blood was starting to call you. It smelled so nice and really stood out from the rest. You've already gotten to taste his sukus, and it had been the most delicious thing you've ever had. You couldn't help but wonder what Kaminari was like. A little bite. I wish I could just have a little bite. Your expression quickly returned to disgust. God, what was wrong with you? Having such horrible thoughts about your new friend. It didn't matter how tempting it was. The whole point of your banishment was to fix your dangerous habits. You needed to remember not to give in to your desires, or more people could end up just getting seriously hurt. Athena? Kaminari frowned. Everything okay? You suddenly look a bit upset. I didn't say anything to annoy you, did I? You hastily shook your head. No, not at all. Sorry. I was just not feeling well for a second there. My stomach hurt, but I'm okay now. Oh, okay. You might be hungry, he suggested. Wanted to grab a quick bite to eat before you leave? It's gotten kind of late, so I wouldn't want to make you stay out too long. Yeah, we could grab some food. That'd be good. Good for distracting me too. For the rest of your time together, you white knuckle it and force yourself to focus on anything but Kaminari's fragrant blood. As much as you love this new world you were getting to experience, one downside was that a lot of the humans here smelled way too good. It was challenging it was challenging your self-control even more than you anticipated it would. Eventually, though, you were home safe and sound. You made it back without doing something you would inevitably regret. We did it, guys! We spent the day. Izuku was there to greet you the second you stepped in the house. How did it go? He asked, green eyes big and curious. You didn't get hurt, did you? You have a tendency to get into fights, so I couldn't help but worry. No fighting today, you chuckled. Well, actually, there was some fighting. What? Arcade fighting games, I mean. Jeez, don't do that to me, he sighed, shoulders immediately slapping in relief. You can't just say hehehe all the time expect to get away with it. Well, I guess it's fine, as long as you're safe. The most important thing, he smiled. Did you have fun with Kaminari? What sort of things did you guys do? If you don't mind me asking, of course. We went to the arcade, then karaoke, you recounted, and wait a little bit before heading home. It was really fun. It was a really fun day overall. Good, that's good. Izuku looked happy for you, but for some reason, there was also the slightest a bit of sadness in his eyes. Did he regret not coming along as well? Or maybe. I had a ton of fun, you said again, but I missed you the whole time, Izuku. So I'm glad I'm home now. No matter who else I meet and become friends with, you'd always be my favorite. Ah! It only took a second for his freckled cheeks to turn bright red. I'm your favorite, he squeaked. Of course you are, you chuckled, wrapping your arms around him as proof of your honesty. You saved me. If it wasn't for you, I can't even imagine what might happen to me by now. I feel the most relaxed when I'm around you. It's like I'm safe, warm, a safe. Near it was near. It's like a safe, warm feeling. If that makes sense. Izuku was as fluttered as always whenever you hugged him, but this time, despite his embarrassment, he managed to lightly pat you on the back. It wasn't quite the game as returning to your hug. It wasn't quite the same as returning your hug, but you were confident he'd get there one day. Thank you for saying that, he mumbled shyly. He was avoiding your gaze, so you couldn't see his expression, although you had a pretty good idea of what it looked like. Your smile showed no signs of disappearing, and you had no intentions of ending the hug any time sooner either. Oh, that's so cute. We made it. Oh, let me just relax a little. Things are going too well for her. For our little child, Athena. Let's just clap for her. Everything's doing fine. She's having fun. Great. Chapter 9, Directionally Challenged. The best way to become a hero at our age is to enroll in a school that specializes in hero training. And when it comes to hero schools, the top one is undoubtedly, UA. Isuka said. You raise your hand. Question. What makes UA especially so good? That's actually a good question. Oh, well, it's made a name for itself because of how many strong, well known heroes have graduated from there. The most impressive of all. I'm sorry, guys, it's because I just watched the last episode from My Hero Vigilantes, where they show what happened to Obora. I saw one present Mike there. Ah! Well, I'm still hurting. I'm still hurt from that episode. Oh, the little Aisawa was just getting to. He was pressuring himself. Keep yourself together. I need to finish reading this. Sorry. Anyways, the most impressive of the most impressive of all of them is All Might, since he's the number one. He have a lot of resources and super high-tech facilities, not to mention a teaching staff made not to mention a teaching staff made up entirely of pro heroes. It's really difficult to get into, though, which makes sense. It has a super low acceptance rate because that's what makes sure they're only picking students who have a lot what it to have what it takes. And Izuku paused for a moment to chuckle sheepishly. It's also the school I've been dreaming on going for years now. So if we both get into UA, we can become heroes? You clarified. Yeah, he nodded. Although it's obviously way easier said than done. But once you got into UA, you're pretty much set. It doesn't mean you don't need to put in the effort after getting admitted, but it's a gateway to becoming a professional. You pursed your lips. Becoming a hero certainly sounded appealing. Not only would you eventually be able to make a living and pay Suku back for all the generosity, but you wanted to make a difference. There was still tons of guilt weighing you down from the horrible mistake you made. The least you could do was to devote yourself to a noble cause to try and make amends for what you've done. When we can go to UA? You ask. Shouldn't we apply as soon as possible? It's a high school, Izuku explained. There will be an entrance exam in less than a year from now. Since we're 3 years in middle school, as far as I know, we're both grading in there's both a written and practical portion of the exam, but the practical one is the hard part. I'm not sure what exactly is covered on the practical exam, but based on how the low passing percentage is, I imagine it must be really challenging. You flattened your cheek against your palm and sighed. I'm more worried about the grading exam, to be honest. Do you think I'll be good enough at reading and writing by then? Definitely, Izuku encouraged. You're learning so fast that it's actually incredible. I've never seen anyone pick up a language as quickly as you have. Don't worry about the grading component. And since you're so strong, I doubt you'd have much trouble with the practical exam either. I'm the one who's kind of screwed. I still don't really know how I'm supposed to prepare for it, since I don't have a quirk. As much as the idea of being a hero appealed to you, you'd be lying if you said Isuki wasn't a major cause of your motivation. It would really bum you out if he didn't manage to get into UA. Setting aside the fact that you've already lived together, you wanted to be with him as much as possible. And you really want his dream to come true as well. You gently squeeze Izuku's hand, then smile. We can do it, you reassured. Like we talked about before, it's not like you can't become a hero just because you don't have a quirk. I think you'll make history, Izuku. You'll prove everyone wrong. Right, yeah. He blushed a bit before nodding his head in agreement. While it was incredibly unfair that the person who probably wanted to become a hero more than anyone more than anyone else was at such a major had nothing in life was a guarantee. There was no reason for him to give up without even trying. There was still no, sorry, my cable. Ah, sorry, I'm getting uh the battery is dying. I need to connect. There it is. There was a still good. That came from out of nowhere. There was a still good while before you entered the exam. You wonder if there was any way for you to gather information about the exam, of what the exam would be like ahead of time. If you drank someone's blood and hypnotized them, it was certainly possible. You wouldn't really know where to start though, and you're supposed doing that was kind of cheating, since other applicants wouldn't have access to such information. Whatever, you didn't want to think about it too hard right now. Otherwise, your head would start hurting. Izuku, you and Athena are home, right? I'm about to go grocery shopping. Inko's voice called out from you from the outside of the room. You quickly perk up and rush into the hallway. I can do it, you offered. I need as much as practice as possible to get used to this world. My hangout with Kamnari went well, so I'm confident I can find my way around. Are you sure? Inko frowned. She clearly didn't look convinced. I appreciate the gesture, but you don't need to do that. Besides, it's going to be a bit of a drag carrying all those bags around. Are you sure you'll even know what to buy? If you give me a grocery list, I'll be fine. Most of the foods in this world are familiar to me. I want to help out however I can, since I owe you too much. Since I owe you too so much. Oh, but I understand if you don't trust me to do this. It was just a suggestion. Inko stared at you for a few moments, then chuckled softly. Well, alright. It's not that I don't trust you. I just wouldn't. I just wouldn't want anything to happen to you while you're out on your own. But I suppose the more practice, the better. Hold on. Because my how is I think that's another setting from the microphone. Oh no, it's gonna end. Fine, I'll just do it that. Sorry. I suppose the more practice, the better. I'll give you enough money for everything you need to buy, but if you start to get overwhelmed at some point, come right back at home, okay? Don't push yourself too hard. Yay, you beam. Thank you so much. I promise I won't let you down. Izuku also looked a bit concerned. But your trip with Kaminari had to be worth something. You wanted to become independent as quickly as possible, so that you could lessen the Midoriya's family's burden, if only a little. You were determined to become the most reliable errand runner they've ever seen. You insisted that Inko only give you the grocery list, not instructions as to how to get to this grocery store. That was part of the trip, after all. You needed to figure out on your own. Apparently, there was an app on your phone that helped you find your way around pretty much everywhere. It was called Google Maps or something. Anyways, it was super handy, so it was definitely worth getting used to it. You diligently consulted Google Maps, and for a while, it seemed like you were making pretty good headway. But then you started getting confused. You started getting really confused. Before you knew it, you ended up in a completely unfamiliar area. You couldn't sworn the grocery trip didn't normally take Inko this long, which probably meant that you've made a royal mess of things. Curse you, Google Maps, you fool. I thought you were supposed to guide me perfectly. This app was made to deceive people. If Google Maps was actually a person, they would probably been laughing at you right now. Anyways, you were lost. You've tucked up a big game in front of Inko and Izuku only for things to turn out this way. It was a bit embarrassing, and you really didn't want to call them, admitting how hopeless you were. No, you would sort out the issue all on your own. You couldn't just rely on them every minute of the day. If it was something to put on, it was time to put on your big girl shoes. Shoes. You squinted at the screen of your phone and tried to assess where you were. Where you were. Naturally, since you were unfamiliar with the various street names, it didn't help much. You also still suck at using your phone, so you didn't know how to give Google Maps a new command. And you knew, well, all you knew was the name of the grocery store Inco frequented. I can't find it here. I can't find it here, you said tiredly. What does this do? Oh, mode of transport? I don't get it. How does that help me to go where I need to go? Things weren't looking great. But before you could lament your situation any further, something made your head turn. It was the scent of blood, and based on how thick it was almost impossible to ignore. Is someone bleeding nearby? They might be hurt. I should help them while I'm already here. At the at the very last, you might end up saving someone thanks to your horrendous grocery store trip. You suppose that was better than nothing. Using your sense of smell to guide you, you followed the invisible blood trail in the hopes of locating whoever was injured. And actually, you did. Except it wasn't what you expect at all. There was definitely there was definitely blood. That was for sure. But it was from more than one person. A group of men were falling on the ground, having been beaten senseless. Since there was so many of them, the stench of blood was starting to get a bit overwhelming. It was making you feel dizzy. At the center of all the injured victims was one man who was left standing. He had short, chopped, drag, he had short, cropped, dark brown hairs, eyes that were distinctly golden, I'm framed with long lower lashes, and he was wearing what appeared to be a black dust mask. Oh no! Don't be. He was also grabbing bandages around his blood his bloody knuckles. Oh, was was all you could think to say. You hadn't intended on saying anything at all, but you must but it must have slipped out unintentionally. At the sound of your voice, the dark-haired man turned towards you, his eyes quickly narrowing. He didn't look happy to see you. Actually, wasn't this situation kind of bad? He was definitely the one who beat the crap out of all those other guys. It was probably a good idea to leave. But you didn't leave because you were stupid. Excuse Excuse me, you said instead. Could you give me some directions? Oh my goodness. The, the man's cold expression turned to bewilderment. You're supposed you could understand why, given that you just walked into a crime and that was what you chosen to ask. But you weren't really scared, frankly speaking. Perhaps it was because you had too much faith in your strength, but either way, a person was a person. You just wanted to get to the damn grocery store. What the hell are you talking about? The man muttered, his voice deep and husky. The grocery store, you repeated. I'm lost, and if you're done with all of that, I was wondering if you had some time to spare. I didn't realize teenagers were so stupid these days. He scoffed. You shouldn't be here. I'm not in a good mood. Get lost before I really lose my patience. Didn't you already lose your patience? Your patience? You frowned. You beat all these guys up. I guess I can't really comment since I sometimes like to talk with my fists too. But but it isn't good to resort to violence. Anyways, I really need to help finding my way around. I'll give you 50 yen. Come on, please. It seemed like the annoyance was gradually melting away, but probably only because he was in awe at your stupidity. He finished bandaging his bloody knuckles and shuddered. Absolutely disgusting. Listen here, you stupid kid. I don't have time for your nonsense. And for the record, I didn't go picking a fight with these idiots. I warned them time and time again to stay out of of my turf, and they just wouldn't listen. They even thought it'd be fun to gang up and try to pull a fast one on me. This is how adults settle their difference. You scratch your head. Mister, are you a villain? Don't call me that. I'm a Yakuza. No, not a villain. There's a difference. He grimaced. What's a Yakuza? Are you kidding? No, you must be. You must be trying to get on my nerves even more. We may have been losing our notoriety recently, but we're not so obsolete that people no longer even know about us. No, I really don't know, you insisted. I'm not from Japan originally, so I have no clue. Also, if these guys were trying to hurt you first, I guess it's okay that you beat them up. I'm not the one to judge. He gave you yet another look of mild disbelief, then let out a weary sigh. I can't believe I'm humoring a brat like you. Fine. I might as well tell you in the hopes of getting your name out of here. Listen up. I come from a group called the Shia the Shia Hasaikai. It's not it may not mean too much now, but one day we'll have made it big. I still don't get what Yakuza are. They're groups of people that like to fight. Oh my god. I'm sorry. Hold on. Sure. He eye rolled. You could say that. Again would be more accurate description, stupid kid. Now that I answered your questions, get the hell out of here. If you were being honest, you still didn't understand. But you didn't feel like getting under his skin even more. You sniffled, trying to ignore the thick smell that was clouding up your nostrils. This was a challenge for this was a challenge for your resilience. But so far, you were doing pretty well. You were kind of proud. Much to immense dismay, you step closer to him and lift your phone. Google Maps is confusing, you said with a sigh. I won't ask you to show me the way or anything, but could you at least give Google proper instructions? I'm bad at using it, and it seems to hate me. the massive, the mass obscure a good version of his face. But you imagine he'd probably be happy at you for the entire of your conversation. How dumb can you be? He glowered. Why would you just walk up to me like this after seeing what I've done? Don't you have any self-preservation whatsoever? What if I decided to hurt you like I hurt the rest of them? You gave a wide great look. Why would you hurt me? I haven't even done anything to you. Good grief. You're ridiculous. With a look of contempt, he snatched the phone from your hand. You notice he angrily wiped it down on his pants as if it was dirty somehow, then sighed for the million for the millionth time. Hurry up and tell me where you need to go. You're lucky that you caught me in a charitable, in a charitable mood. Hooray! Thank you, mister. You proceed to grin shamelessly. If he was willing to help you out with to help you with your grocery store endeavors, then surely he couldn't be that bad. Sure. Plus, he said those men had to come here to attack him first, so it was just self-defense. Probably. You told him which grocery store you've been trying to get to, after which he shook his head as if he couldn't believe what you just heard. How in how in the hell did you end up with the way here? He murmured. And who doesn't know how to use the most basic functions of their phone? I just got this phone, she protested. It's my first phone ever. Don't make fun of me. Shut up, you're giving me a headache. There, he snapped, literally throwing the phone back at you. Thankfully, you caught it in time. You would have cried if it broke after Izuku only just bought it to you. I've turned on the directions. Your volume is on, so it'll tell you exactly where you need to go. You just need to listen and pay attention with that tiny brains of yours. My brain isn't tiny. You feel compelled to defend yourself. My friend says I'm learning how to read and write faster than anyone else. You don't even know how to read and write? He stared at you, but somehow didn't look too surprised. It was as if he it was as if he expected to come this level of stupidity. If only he knew that the way you've gone from having literally zero knowledge to an abundance of it, all in an incredible short period of time. As rude as as rude as the guy was, you had to admit he smelled nice. Not only the scent of his blood, he had clean, fresh smell about him. You weren't sure if it was cologne or just that he had an impeccable hygiene, but it was pleasant. You smell nice, mister. Stop, you said happily. Thank you for the directions. I hope those men don't give you any more trouble. But if they do, maybe go a bit easier them. Go easier on them. They look like they're going to be crying after this. Huh? He crimsoned, taking several steps back and yeah. Did you just sniff me? What the hell is your problem? You shrug her. It was just a compliment. I don't need your compliments, you you're filthy just like everyone else. This is written by the correct venom. Huh. He doesn't like quirks? Strange. From what Izuku had told you, quirks were really highly sought out and desirable. In fact, he said he'd been bullied for not having a quirk. You wonder why this guy spoke about quirks as if they were some of malady. After a lengthy pause, you let off. I'm not filthy, you said, sticking your tongue out of him. I don't even have a quirk. Ha! I bet you feel silly right now. Oh no! I mean, she's not wrong, but. That's the worst person. You decided that was the end of that conversation. Technically, you didn't lie. You were a vampire, not a human with a quirk. Perhaps you shouldn't have told him that, since you were supposed to be pretending like your vampirism was your quirk. But whatever. It's not like you will ever see him again. You've gotten the directions you needed, and hopefully, Google Maps wouldn't let you down this time. The dude seemed pretty short tempered, and you already tested your luck enough by staying around him for so long. While you were walking away, however, you didn't realize that his golden eyes had gone completely wild. She's quirkless? Chisaki muttered under his breath. Oh no! We're not Chisaki! Chisaki Kai! Oh no, things are good. I don't know how to feel about this. Oh my gosh, that was the best. Oh, the best word I've ever read. Oh, just imagine me like, oh, hello, sir, who hadn't completely beat the crap out of a lot of those people and probably killed them. Could you give me directions? I'm lost. And shy emoji like, I'm sorry, sir, I'm lost. Could you stop beating the crap out of them to give me directions? Oh my god. Let me get some water. Ah, that was perfect. Mm. Uh, Sorry. Chapter 10. A Fated Meeting. Oh, who we will meet now. Alright everyone. I'll be handing I'll be handing back last week's math test. Be sure to look over it and so that you know blah, blah, blah. Be sure to look over it so that you know where you lost your marks. Countless students let out these printing groans, clearly dreading having to see their grades. You, on the other hand, were as chipper as could be. Math was the one subject you were good at this world. You've always felt a sense of pride when you perform well. Yay! The teacher stopped in front of your desk and a smile blooming across his lips. Athena! Perfect score, as always. Though I expected nothing less. Aw. He said it loud enough for the rest of the He's such a He said it out loud that he said it loud enough that the rest of the class could hear, which was certainly doing wonders for your ego. You proudly puff up your chest and you accept your test sheet back. Not that you had anything to scheme though. But by now, your classmates were used to you being undefeated when it comes to math. But they seem surprised but they still seem surprised that you've been able to maintain your perfect average until now. One of those one of those classmates was not just surprised, but also remarkably bitter as well. He was used to being the top student in the class across all subjects, and this left a bad taste in his mouth. Idiot. Katsuki sneered. What do you have to look so happy about? Math is the only thing you're good at. You're below average at all the rest. Seriously, have some fucking shame. You turned towards him, smiling and completely undrained. Then you proceed to leave up your test sheet. Sorry, what did this paper said? Is it definitely doesn't have a Oh my gosh, I can't. I can't. Sorry, what did your paper said? It definitely doesn't have a 100 graded on it, huh? That means I win again and you lose. Oh my gosh. When the fuck did you ever win against me? He practically exploded. Not sure. I've already lost count. You're asking for it at this point. He gritted out, raising his fist as warning. Even though you wouldn't put it past him to attack you right in front of middle of the class, you definitely didn't consider him a threat either. You knew from experience that you could hold your own against him in a fight, and if all else you failed, you could just bite him again. That sure made him. That sure. uh, uh, that sure seemed to have done the trick the last time. The teacher shook his head, letting out a heavy sigh. Athena, Bakugo, give it a rest. You're at each other's throats every day. I have another announcement to make, so everybody listen up. Everyone. In just a minute, I'm also going to be passing around some printouts for you all to fill out regarding your decided careers. But he briefly chuckled, then flung out the printouts towards the earth as if they hardly serve a purpose. Well, I already know that pretty much all of you are trying to become heroes, right? The atmosphere had taken a drastic turn from what just from a few moments earlier, when students were reluctantly mulling over their grades. Everyone was visibly enthusiastic now, laughing and cheering while they each showed off their unique abilities. Yes, yes, the teacher laughed. Your quirks are all wonderful, but you know it's against the rules to use them during school. Tell that to him! Katsuki took his opportunity to openly scoff. Sensei, don't lump me in. I don't know how to say that. Sensei, don't lump me in with the rest of these losers. Their pathetic ass quirks can't even compare with mine. Wow, what a shock! He's bragging again. The class was quick to reprimand him for his remarks, but Katsuki just responded with one of his obnoxious laughs. It was only then that one of the students awkwardly cleared their throat. Oh right, Bakugo's aiming for UA, isn't he? Yikes! That's the one with yikes! I don't know how to read. Yikes! The one that's hyper competitive to get into. Its entrance exam is notorious difficult. That place seriously is no joke. Clearly, what Izuku had told you about UA was the truth. Based on the reactions of your classmates alone, you were both striving for something that most could only ever dream. Huh. Are you dipshits done running your mouths? Katsuki scolded. He proceeded to literally jump on his desk, and rather than chasing him, the teacher just shrugged, as if he was used to this shit by he was used to this shit by now. I aced the mock exam, Katsuki proudly went on. I'm the only one in the shitty school that's ever got a chance. I'm gonna surpass I'm gonna surpass even All Might at the top hero and engrave my name in the history books. There was on there was only one thing you get out of that rant. Mock exam? Shit. There was a mock exam and I didn't even I didn't even know. It was really beside the point though. The teacher frowned his brows. A look of realization crossing his expression. Ah, right. Now that you mention it, didn't Midoriya also want to go to UA? I feel like he might have something along those lines before. Oh no! Yeah, you eagerly chime in. Izuku's going to UA too. You're not special, Katsuki. No. She's trying. She's trying, guys. Uh, it hadn't. It had been your intention to cheer your friend on, but much to your regret, you were met with a roaring laughter instead. Midoriya? Nah, there's no way. You can get into UA by just studying, dude. Sheesh, talk about a pipe dream. They were all making fun of him. Those absolute assholes. You watch as Izuku tried to speak up, albeit timidly, but they just keep on shutting him down. All you could do was clench your fist and grit your teeth to keep them from lashing out, and doing something you'd end up regretting. Katsuki, however, didn't bother to try to hold back like you were. It's shit, Taku! He set up an explosion that connected with Izuku's desk and sent the boy flying backwards out of panic. So much for quirks not being used in school. The teacher didn't even say a word to put out the bully in his place. The rest of these losers are just as weak as they come, but you don't even have a quirk. Katsuki sneered. You still haven't given up on that impossible dream of yours? Seriously? Where the fuck did where the fuck did you get off trying to put yourself on the same level as me? Smoke rose from his palms and gradually filled the classroom. You scrunch up your nose in disgust, not just from the stench, but the fact that everyone was watching Katsuki bully Izuku without so much as batting an eye. They clearly didn't care about how Izuku felt. They were just as amused as the blonde, if anything. It made your fucking boil. It made your fucking blood boil. You grabbed a handful of Katsuki's hair. Oh no! You grabbed a handful of Katsuki's hair and used it to roughly pull him back. Hey! You wore an expression cold. Back the fuck off. You're really taking things too far. Don't make me bite you on the throat. Don't make me bite your throat out. Oh no. As much as you were determined as much as you were determined to change your ways, if there was anyone who deserved to be threatened, it was Katsuki. He slapped your hand away almost immediately, and it didn't take a genius to know that he was itching to fight you right there and there. You're always tasting my patience, he glowered. I don't think you realize how easily I've let you go off until now. That should be my line. If I wanted to, I could. What? You could what? He challenged. Come on! Out with it! Your gaze dripped to the ground. You remember that fateful night. You remember your friend pitifully gasping for breath and begging you to stop, even when you were really past the point of seeing reason. In that moment, you were no longer yourself. Katsuki was one hell of a shithead, but you shouldn't resolve to stop on so low. He wasn't worth dirt in your hands any more than you've already had. Just leave Izuku alone, or I'll have to beat you up again, you said bitterly. Athena, the teacher then frowned. You're too quick to resort to violence. Huh? If you keep this up, I'll really have to send you to the principal. Bitch! So Katsuki gets a free pass for threatening Izuku, but I get in trouble when I stick up for him? Ah! I guess being a I guess being a delinquent has its perks, huh? That's such a double standard. Stupid teacher. I've always hated that guy. Anyways, you let out a tired sigh and focused instead on helping Izuku back to his feet. He briefly mumbled a few words of thanks, and then class went right back as normal, as if nothing had ever happened, as if they hadn't all turned your beloved friend into a butt of the joke. People were cruel. No matter the species, humans, vampires, dwarfs, elves, it honestly didn't matter. For whatever reason, most seemed to derive joy from tormenting another. It was the one thing you could expect would never change, regardless of what world you were in. Damn, that's so sad. Eventually, school was out. You were thankful to be able to hurry up and put the shitty day in the past. Poor Izuku, he was always so strong, and never before any contempt towards the people who constantly hurt him. The sooner you got out of here, the better. But of course, Katsuki wouldn't even allow that much. As you and Izuku stood up to leave, Katsuki and his two underlings surround you. Trying to run, Shiritaku? Katsuki scoffed. I wasn't done with you yet. He snatched Izuku's notebook out of his hands. It was the one it was one of the countless he've already written, with all sort of notes on pro heroes and various forms of analysis. He's shown it to you before, and you remember being in awe at just how diligent he was when it came to his goal and making his dream a reality. Oh, hold on. I'm I think it's there. Sorry, my it was hurting. My ear was hurting with this. What the hell is that? One of the underlings snickered. Notes for the future hero analysis? So lame. This dude's seriously in denial. Kachan. Suko swallowed nervously. Give it back. Needless to say, Katsuki didn't do that. Instead, he used his quirk to blow up the notebook altogether. You watch horrified as the cover and pages turned into a smoky, charred mess. You didn't even have time to wonder if the pages would still be legible, because Katsuki then proceeded to throw the notebook out of the window. What the actual fuck is his problem? Katsuki leaped aside, head aside. You know, you know what they say about all those top heroes? What they have in common is that they all came from unremarkable middle schools. They were the first they were the first of their schools to get into UA. I am a perfectionist, so I can't have you string to fuck up my record. He's such a bitch. What a disgustingly pretty. What a dis. What a disgustingly petty reason. Over something so insignificant. Over something like that, he was giving Izuku so much grief. A smile spread across Katsuki's lip. Basically, what I'm trying to say is just forget about UA, you little shitty nerd. Where was that from? You shitty little nerd. He grabbed hold of Izuku's quivering shoulder, partially activating his quirk so that his touch burned just enough to scare his victim. The whole time, you hadn't said a word. Not because you were too afraid to speak up, but because you knew that if you lost control of yourself, the consequences could be very fatal. As usual, he's too scared to see a damn world. Lucky number one laughed cruelly. Just leave him, the other one mused. He's going to be graduating in less than a year, and he can still face reality. He's actually kinda sad. Katsuki started walking away, hands shoved into his pockets, but he paused just to glance back over his shoulder. Oh, maybe there is something you could try. If you really want to become a hero so badly, there's a chance you've got a quirk waiting for you in another life. What do you say? Try taking a dive off the rooftop and see what happens. He said the phrase. Izuku could only grit his teeth, beating back the tears that were foaming in his eyes. His entire body was trembling helplessly, and although you should have been comforting him, you could manage you couldn't even manage that much. In that moment, you thought it might not be such a bad thing if you fed on Katsuki until his body went cold. Kill him. Izuku sniffed, then glanced over you. What? I'm going to kill him. You said it, clenching your feet so hard that your nails dug into your skin. It was the first time that you experienced such a thing. You were used to being overwhelmed by your thirst of blood due to an alarming sack due to an alarming lack of self-control. But it was a different matter altogether. Your bloodthirst was driven by a greed was by a your bloodthirst was driven by greed and gluttony. The feeling of never being satiated to always want more. But this wasn't gluttony, nor it was greed. It was simply murderous intent. Oh, you don't mean that, Izuku smiled weakly. I know you're just angry with him. It means a lot that you care about me so much that you'll even get upset on my behalf. Kachan can be pretty horrible at times, but I'm sure that even he didn't make that last comment. He doesn't actually want to kill myself. Okay? He doesn't actually want me to kill myself. He just wanted to be cruel. Perhaps Izuku was right, and Katsuki had just been talking out his ass like always. However, you couldn't say the same for yourself. For a split second, you would actually empty skinning your fangs into Katsuki's throat and drain him dry. You swallowed, trying to collect yourself once more. Eventually, you were able to unleash your fist, and weren't all surprised when you noticed that your nails had left these discernible crescent-shaped marks. You weren't entirely sure how, but you managed to force a smile for Izuku's sake. Come on, you encouraged. Let's go get your notebook back. Right. The best thing for Izuku was for you to be strong and keep on encouraging him, not to keep your anger and risk making things worse. After everything he've done to help you since you've landed yourself in this world, it was really the least you could do. The walk home felt longer than usual, probably because the freckled boy couldn't help but suck after what just happened. You patted him on the back even so often, and even tried to make silly jokes to cheer him up. Although he cracked a smile on occasion, you could tell his spirit was turned out. It's okay, he said, voice trembling a little bit. I already promised myself not to care about what others say. I just need to keep looking on forward. Exactly, you nodded. They're all a bunch of idiots anyway. I bet Katsuki will get rejected from UA because of his personality is completely unfit for becoming a hero. I'm not sure that if I would go that far. You've been you've been just about to pile on that Katsuki gave off the impression of being closer to a villain than a hero, and once he opened his mouth, UA staff would probably be horrified, but you didn't manage to word the words in time. Out of nowhere, some gross-looking slime creature materialized and engulfed Izuku's body. Izuku! Izuku! You glanced around in panic. Manhole there was a manhole behind you, from the underpass you just walked through. Did he creep out from there? Not that it even mattered at this point. Your friend was being attacked right in front of your very eyes. This is an easy body. This is an easy body to take over. The slime villain chuckled. Although maybe I should have taken the girls instead. Not sure why, but I get the sense she might be stronger. Oh well, too late now, I suppose. Izuku chuckled and while desperately trying to fight back against all the slime seeing control of his body. This was bad. If this went on for much longer, he would completely run out of air. You needed to free him, and fast. Disgusted thing! You scolded, throwing your fist forward with all the strength you were capable of. Let go of Izuku! You said you wanted to take my body instead, didn't you? Go ahead and try it then! Although you hadn't been holding back, it didn't seem like your punch had much of an effect. The slime villain merely chuckled again. Silly kid, he mused. You can grab hold of me. I'm amorphous. But don't worry, once I finish up with this guy, you're next. Tears streamed down Izuku's cheeks. What the hell was going on? You've just been walking home together like any other day. There hadn't been the slightest sign of danger, but now, were you really going to lose him? Just like that? You felt like you were going to throw up. Even if it wasn't your own doing, the fear of losing your closest friend was overwhelming you. Your punches and kicks were useless. They weren't enough to disturb the thick slime chasing Izuku's body. If only it had been a different kind of villain. If only you were as strong as you've been back in your own world. Then maybe you might have stood a chance. It was starting to feel hopeless. You were pulling on Izuku's arm trying to grab him out of the slime, but he wasn't budging at all. He was dying. He was actually going to die. You didn't want to live in a world without Izuku. Have no fear, boy. Face of flush and tears streaming from your eyes. You turned back towards the silent voice, and then you saw him. The man whose posters and merchandise could be found in every inch of Izuku's room. The man whose smile had become etched at your memory, even in a short span of time. It was the number one hero, All Might. He did what you couldn't. With a grin that couldn't be shaken, his fist surged forward and a blistering space. The pressure from all the blows sent slime splattering everywhere. It was strong enough to render the villain useless in less than a second. And just like that, Izuku was free. You could see that his consciousness was fading, and just barely managed to catch him in the time he collapsed to the ground. You grabbed your arms around Izuku's fallen frame and snipped, holding him as tight as you could manage. That was so close. Any longer, any longer, and Izuku good for good. Could have gone good for good. With blurry eyes, you look at All Might, a hero who's the hero who saved your hero. Thank you, was all you managed to guess out. Thank you so much. Itsuko's eyelids were shut. He fainted into a combination of pain, fear, and shock. But it didn't matter. All that mattered was that he was safe. You didn't know it then, but the meeting could have forever changed your life and Izuku's. Would forever change your life and Izuku's. I read it bad. Oh god. Well, now we have All Might here. And let me just check. We were in chapter 8. So if we read in 8, 9, and 10. What time is it? Okay, maybe I can read one more. And I think, yeah, I will finish this one and I'll be going. Chapter 11. But before we start reading, I'm just going to drink a little bit of water. There we go. Let's finish this. Chapter 11. Mark of a Hero. All Might smile. Sorry, that's so funny. I don't know why that's funny for me. All Might's smile was blindly bright. It didn't falter, not for even a single moment. It was the sort of smile that made you feel completely at ease. You'd only met him for the first time, but you were starting to understand where all of Izuku's admiration came from. I'm just glad the two of you are safe, All Might beamed. Is your friend going to be okay? He seemed to have fainted from the shock. Um, oh, right! You've been so in awe that you nearly forgotten that Izuku was still limp in your arms. Making sure to be gentle, you carefully patted his cheek, trying to bring him back to his sense. This was a huge deal after all. His biggest inspiration was literally in front of him. Izuku's brows reflectively scrunched together upon feeling your touch. Then his eyelids lifted to reveal his blurry green eyes. You could tell that his vision was fuzzy, partially from the disorientation, but also the fact that he'd been choking just a few moments ago. Either way, it took him several seconds to actually take a scene. But when he finally did, his reaction definitely wasn't subtle. That's me. Instead of forming proper words, all he managed was a brief out of cry of gibberish. You suppose you could understand where he was coming from. Not only he had been saved, but he had been saved by the very man he idolized the most. Hall might laugh with his entire chest. Oh, good. I'm glad you seem to be so lively. In any case, I should really apologize. I got wrapped up in the building cleanup, and one of them managed to sneak away. I must have I must have been off my game today. I'm not usually like this, I promise. You weren't really sure what he was talking about because he obliterated the villain in no time flat. If that was him being off his game, you couldn't even begin to imagine what he was like when he was at his very best. Either way, thank you both for persisting so briefly until I got here. Thanks for your help, I was able to seal the villain away. All Might then proudly lifted a plastic bottle, and sure enough, the jockey slime dude appeared to be trapped inside of it. To think that your earlier efforts have proven completely fruitless, but a plastic bottle was somehow able to incapacitate him. The world was truly strange. Izuku was a sa- Izuku was safe though, and that was easily the most important part. Speaking of Izuku, he was currently frozen in a place, with his jaw hanging open. He was clearly overwhelmed with emotion and couldn't hardly think straight. That being said, there was no mistaking the excitement and joy on his face. And to think that just a few minutes ago he'd been so dejected thanks to Katsuki's douchebaggery. All Might had lifted his boy's spirits without even taking a sweat. Izuku, you proud, lightly tapping him on his shoulder. Come on, try to talk to him. Don't you have anything you want to say now that you finally met him? I, I. Okay, still no current words. He was more starstruck than you've been expecting, so you glanced towards the notebook he'd been carried earlier, which had fallen into the ground when he'd been attacked, and eagerly held it towards All Might. Can he have your autograph? You asked hopefully. He's a big fan. No, your biggest fan, actually. Thankfully, All Might seemed to be just as considerate as his image suggested. Of course! I'm always happy to be able to speak to my supporters face to face. It means a lot, kiddo. The hero signed the notebook in the blink of an eye, and you pass it back to Izuku, who just stared at it without even pausing to take a breath. Thank you so much! He finally managed to splutter, bowing his head over and over again. It was starting to border on excessive, actually. You worry he might end up giving him whiplash. I'll treasure this for the rest of my life, he exclaimed. This could be my family heirloom. How cute! His over the top mannerisms were an endearing as always. Your cheeks hurt from watching him and All Might interact. It had been admittedly shitty until on the it had been an admittedly shitty day until now, being bullied by Katsuki and then being attacked by some random villain. So you were really glad things were looking up for Izuku. All Might flash you both thumbs up. Well, that's that. I'm off to deliver the villain to the police now. Thanks again for all the support. When we meet next time, I imagine it'll probably be through a TV screen. You watch as Izuku's smile drop. Already? You can stay just a bit longer? I'm afraid not, boy. Pros are always in battle against not only villains, but time itself. If I stand still for too long, some other people might get hurt on the way you did. I can't risk not making in time to save them. All Might was already walking away, the slime-filled plastic bottle stuffed into his pockets of his pants. You had to admit that you felt a little down for yourself. Naturally, you understood that time was of the essence, but there was no doubt that Izuku was his biggest supporter. Was a few more minutes really too much to ask? Izuku's eyes were wide in panic. Wait, I still have something to ask you. His voice was faint, so you suspected that All Might had the. His his voice was faint, so you suspected that All Might hadn't heard him. In fact, the hero was already preparing to leave, you bowed in the dust. He was crashing down as if he was about to take off into the sky flying or something. Could All Might fly? You didn't think so. He obviously had some form of super strength, though, and given how destructive his punch from earlier had been, you didn't doubt he probably cleared the sky in the blink of an eye. Izuku seemed to realize this too, because before All Might could jump away, he latched onto his leg, hold on their dear life. If your reaction time hadn't been as good as it was, you might miss the opportunity to do the same and being and being left behind altogether. You were both soaring through the sky now, dangerously at risk of dying if your grip slipped up. All Might was seriously no joke. With this much strength, he pretty much was flying. The pressure of the wind whipping across your face was daunting enough on its own, without involving yourself plummeting to a certain death. Holy shit! All Might exclaimed. You're both insane! Are you trying to get yourselves killed? Izuku tried to speak, which was a mistake because his mouth was flapping around like crazy from all the wind. Much like before, all that came out was gibberish. He also looked like he was close to fainting again. Okay, okay, I get it. So for the time being, keep your keep your mouths and eyes shut. All Might mercifully landed on the rooftop nearby, which gave you and Izuku enough time to catch your breaths. That was scary, Izuku gasped, looking up absolutely haggard. You nodded fiercely. I thought I was going to pee myself. Then you shouldn't have done something so foolish at the first place. All Might fumed. You noticed that he was facing away from you now, opting to look at the distance. You couldn't blame him for being you couldn't blame him from being angry. What you've done had been super reckless after all. You had you really hadn't expected someone as mild-mannered as Izuku to pull something like that out of nowhere. It just went to show how much All Might mean to him. The two of you should go downstairs now. All Might continue. I seriously have no time to waste, and I'm just not making this up. Izuku tensed up. Oh, wait, I wanted to. Nope, I really can't. Even so, Izuku persisted. He clenched his fist and with a shivering nail muttered up what had apparently been on his mind this whole time. Can someone who's quirkless become a hero? Can even a quirkless person be an amazing hero like you someday? Ah, that's what it was. You smiled sadly. Right. As driven and incredible as Izuku it was impossible not to have doubts when the entire world kept telling him he was at disadvantage. You personally already consider Izuku to be a hero. He had all the qualities of one. After all, kindness, bravery, self-sacrifice. If even he wasn't a hero, then what was the point of such a term? But you realize he was asking the question in a more practical sense. Having the having the essence of a hero didn't necessarily mean he would be able to fend off villains of his own, like with the smile guy from earlier. The only thing he was missing was a quirk. You were furious that the world had chosen to forsake him like this. For just a moment, All Might glanced back over his shoulder. You're quick, you're quirkless? You heard him mutter. Izuku hadn't picked on it, since his senses weren't as sharp as yours. But you could tell that All Might was shocked by this boy's confession. I don't have a quirk, so I'm constantly being made fun of for it, Izuku mumbled sadly. I doubt it's only because I'm quirkless, but I've always thought saving people is the coolest thing ever. It's everything I ever wanted. As much as you hated not to be paying full attention while Izuku was pouring his heart out, something felt off. Smoke was gradually surrounding All Might's body. Actually, you thought you thought of this at the very start, but had been too caught into things to pay much attention. His blood smelled a lot different than what you expect from the number one hero. It was weak, almost as if it was corrupted or diseased. I want I want to know no fear and save people with a smile. Izuku eagerly peeled on. I want to become a legendary hero, just like you. The smoke dissipated, and you suddenly understood why his blood smelled off to you. In lieu of the hulking mass of man you were used to, was a figure that could only be described as skeletal. Calling him gaunt would still have been an understatement. He was wearing the same clothes as All Might had on earlier, but you hung loose off his body, practically enjoyed him. And yet, the scent of his blood was unmistakable. This man was still All Might. You shrivel up! Izuku exclaimed before horrified. No, it's. Are you an imposter? What have you done with the real All Might? I am the real All Might, the man replied for this, and the second he opened his mouth, blood spewed out like he was a waterfall. It definitely didn't smell palatable either. What the fuck was going on? But, but how? You know how some people will flex and try to make their muscles look bigger? It's kind of the same situation. No way! All Might let out a sigh and sat down. This version of him, the version of him that you saw before, the version of him that you saw before you was a stark contrast to everything you've known. Not just in the physical sense, but even his expression, his smile, or rather lack thereof. It was a big enough for, that was a big that was enough for of a shock for you, who'd only been in this world for a limited period of time, so you could only imagine how Izuku was feeling. A smile that knows no fear, huh? All Might chuckled bitterly. This is why I was such in a hurry to leave. Shit. Well, I guess it can be helped. I have my own negligence to blame for this incident. Since both of you have seen me have seen my true form, I may as well come clean. But whatever you do, don't post don't post about this online or try to tell anyone. He proceeded to lift up his shirt, revealing a gruesome wound that made Izuku recall almost immediately. The sight of blood or injury generally didn't faze you, but this one looked really, really bad. It was a miracle he was even alive, honestly. This is an injury I got from a villain 5 years ago, All Might explained. As you can see, it left me worse for wear. My respiratory system is in shambles, and my stomach has pretty much been completely scooped out. I've wasted away more surgeries and complications that I can even count. As a result, I've been reduced to a maximum of 3 hours of hero activities per day. Any longer than that, and I revert back to this form. No wonder his blood smells so sickly. It's incredible that he still pushes himself to save others, despite the horrible state his body is in. The public doesn't know about my condition, All Might said gravely. I'll ask that you respect my wishes and keep this to yourselves. It's important that I can maintain my image as a symbol of peace, a beacon who always saves people with a smile. Such a thing cannot be corrupted by the forces of evil. If word ever go out, villains would surely capitalize the opportunity to try to take me down. The reason I smile and laugh is to distract myself from the peril and terror that dwells within me. A pro must always put their life on the line, given how incredibly dangerous the job is. I just can't bring myself to tell you that you can do it without a quirk. His Zuko expression crumbled. His face was pale as a sheet, and it even looked like he'd broken out into a cold sweat. The person he looked up to the most in the world had just told him to keep up on his dream. All Might stood up and offered him a sympathetic smile. If you aspire to save people, there's always the police force. Villain custody is often a thankless job, but it too is worthy of price. There are other alternatives. It's good to dream, but that being said, there's a time where you must face reality. With that last blink remark, he left you both behind. He left Izuku, who was now gasping frantically and on the verge of a panic attack. He abandoned him, just like that, without even giving a second thought. You felt like crying, but you couldn't afford to break down right now. Not when Izuku needed you more than ever. Stupid All Might. You could sympathize with the situation, and you imagined it was incredibly difficult to work as a number one hero. But that doesn't mean he should automatically dismiss anyone who didn't fight at the status quo. He doesn't know what he's talking about, you hasted to say. He doesn't know what you're already he doesn't know you already saved me, and that you're already a hero. You trust in me and give me a chance. I'm sure anyone else would have thought I was crazy and just walk away. You even let me drink your blood, knowing it would be painful and scary. He doesn't know any of that. Isuka's face was still blank, but small tears glistened in his eyes. He sniffled, hurrying to wipe them away before they rolled down his cheeks. Thanks, Athena, he just barely mumbled, for trying to cheer me up. I mean, it's okay. I'm okay. I just thought, I don't know. All this time I kept on hoping, but now that All Might himself has told me it's not possible, I guess I should stop kidding myself. To some extent, I knew I was chasing an impossible dream. I have to face reality like everyone keeps on telling me. You didn't know what else to say. We've already more than proven himself to you, but it wasn't as if you didn't understand that some people were simply born stronger than others. Some things were direct early on, things that could be changed, no matter how hard you tried. God damn it. Why couldn't they be changed? Let's go home first, you swallow. We'll talk more about it then. Maybe you just need to take some time to clear your head. All Might seems like he was really tired. He might just have been in a hurry to get rid of us. You said we were both going to try into UA, right? Let's start with that. We have to at least try. It's okay, he said again. Well, you should definitely try. I know you can get in, but I think it's hopeless for me. All Might went to UA as well, so I'm sure he already knows I just don't have what it takes. Izuku. Oh, this is so sad. You felt fucking useless. He's done so much for you, and you couldn't even bring a smile to his face in times like this. Realizing that continuing to pester him might just make things worse, a heavy silence fell upon the two of you as you walked home. A silence that, as it turned out, didn't last very long. Izuku's eyes dripped towards the source of a commotion even before yours did. A large people A large group of people have gathered and appear to be chattering among themselves, crying out and even cheering. You didn't understand what was going at first, but then you remember that Isoko told you that people tend to watch pro heroes while they fought villains, whether that be out of curiosity or genuine concern. You couldn't say that for sure, but none of that even mattered right now, because you recognized the villain they were fighting. It's the slime dude! You exclaimed. What? But I thought All Might had trapped him. Wasn't he on his way to the police station? Beside you, Izuku's entire body had begun to shake. It's my fault! All because I jumped onto him and distracted him in the middle of his work. He must have dropped the billion by accident or something. You wanted to tell him that it wasn't your fault. After all, the responsibility was all mine in the first place. But you didn't have a chance to muster up any words of encouragement. You couldn't because something else has drawn your attention. Something even more concerning. It wasn't just the villain that you recognized. You also recognize the victim, Katsuki. As much as you want to say that he deserved it, and while he was one hell of a piece of shit, punishment by death was certainly too severe. The slime villain has seized control of Katsuki's body, just as he'd done with Izuku earlier. That meant that right at this very moment, Katsuki was struggling to find opportunities to breathe and desperately fighting for his life. If he stopped resisting for even a split second, he was done for. You hated to offer your damn it. You hated to offer your help to Izuku's bully, of all people. But what choice did you have? All Might had run out of time of day, and it looked like heroes on site were struggling against the Smile Building since their quirk weren't a good match for him. Katsuki could die here. Couldn't die here. You still needed to kick his ass. With the intention of rushing straight into danger and trying to buy Katsuki at least one little time, you turned, only to find that Izuku had already beat you the punch. You idiot! Other heroes called out for him. Stop! Stop it! Izuku didn't stop, of course. In fact, the hero soon had to scream at you as well, because you raced after him quickly as your feet allowed. You weren't entirely sure what Izuku's plan was. Hell, you weren't even sure what your plan was. But one that mattered. But none of that mattered. Someone needed help, and that was what you decided to do since coming to this world. Erase the mistakes of your past and become the type of person you could be proud of. The type of person that saved those in need. While running at full speed, Izuku took off his backpack and threw it right at the slime's villain face. It worked as a momentary distraction and allowed you to get in closer, after which you both began desperately clowning at the smile to try and free the boy trapped within. Deku and Athena, you shitheads! Katsuku cried out, despite needing all the help he could get. As expected, his petty pride was getting the best of him. Even at a time like this, he could talk up a big game all he wanted. It wouldn't change the fact that he was afraid, and you could see it all too clearly in his trembling crimson eyes. I'm sorry, Izuku smuttered frantically. My legs move on their own. My legs move on their own. I don't know why either, but your eyes look like they were pleading for help. Those same eyes were now rolling back into Katsuki's skull. Fuck. It looked like he'd reached his limit. It had probably gotten way too difficult to breathe. The fact that he endured for a long, that was a testament to his incredible tenacity. Both of you brats need to get out of my way. I know that's a villain. Sorry. Both of you brats need to get out of my way. The villain, the slime villain roared. An enlarged hand came across down against you, and you brace yourself trying to fight it back against the pressure so that Itsuku couldn't flunk aside. If only I could actually bite him, then this fight would be as good as over. You wished you could do more. This truly was a terrible matchup for you, and Izuku was at risk of getting hurt again. But much like before, when it seems like all hope has been lost, an unwearying symbol made itself known. Good grief! All Might cried out. I can't believe I could go back on my own words from earlier. A pro hero always put their lives on the line. Within an instant, he grabbed a hold of you, Izuku, and Katsuki with one arm, and he used the other to deliver a devastating blow. One of his signature moves that Izuku had one clutch about. Detroit Smash! Once again, the slime scattered from the pressure, and the villain could no longer remain the structure of his body. In fact, you were certain that this punch had been way more powerful than the one from earlier, on account of the rain had begun to drizzle down. You look up at the sky in disbelief, droplets splattering against your cheeks. Against your cheeks. He seriously altered the weather with a simple punch? Holy crap. There was no doubt that All Might was incredible, but you hadn't expected him to fight again. Earlier, he said that there was a limit how long he could maintain his muscular form. You suppose he pushed himself over the edge or in order to save everyone. This would no doubt have lasting consequences of his already withered body. But that was a part of being a hero, it seemed, constantly putting yourself in harm's in the way to sake of others. You didn't even have a chance to talk to All Might for saving your asses yet again, because he snuck away from at the first opportunity. No doubt because he needed to revert back and his true form and couldn't risk being spotted. After that, the heroes cleaned up the leftover slime and safely delivered all to the police. You and Izuku were also berated endlessly for your recklessness, although you were tempted to point that they'd been surprisingly useless this whole time. No, sorry, right? You and Izuku were also berated endlessly for your recklessness, although you were tempted to point out that they've been surprisingly useless the whole time. If not for All Might, the villain could still be wreaking havoc right now. Well, I guess I can't really judge. I wasn't much help either. I hope I can slowly build up my strength in this world, or at the very least, learn to fight in a way that I can handle more tedious opponents like this one. Conversely, Katsuki received nothing but praise. They all kept fawning over him and going on about how tough he was. Plus, the bully has briefly seized control of his quirk, so they've gotten a chance to see some of his abilities firsthand as well. They were extremely expressed, much to your dismay. It was strange, though. You thought he might reveal the opportunity to have his ego praised, since he was almost constantly bragging. But he didn't look particularly happy about it. He actually looked really pissed off. He kept glancing over yours and Izuku's direction, brows, fur, and jaw impossibly clenched. For a guy whose life had just been saved, it wouldn't hurt to be a bit more grateful, goddammit. It had been a long day, but simply, you were feeling emotionally drained and a bit worse for wear physically as well. Hunger was starting to build up in the pits of your stomach, but you hated to ask Izuku for his blood when he'd already been put through hell today. You would just have to endure it and wait for him to feel better another day. You were both awfully haggard as you headed for home, and of course, a certain asshole couldn't help but make things worse. Deku! Katsuku cried out. You turned, letting resign aside, only to find that he was clenching his fist and practically shaking from frustration. I've never asked to be saved, he gritted out. Let's all by you. In fact, you didn't save me. You and Athena didn't do shit. I was perfectly fine on my own. I saved myself. I won't let pieces of shit like you two look down on me. Fucking assholes. He turned around and stormed off without another word. You've been too stunned to say anything in response to his ridiculous tirade. Were there any limits to his arrogance? Sure, Technically, you and Izuku didn't save him all on your own, but you at the very least bought him a bit of time until All Might decided to act. There was no telling what might happen to him if the heroes intervened when it was already too late. He's so dumb, you sighed tirely, shaking your head. Izuku half chuckled. It's fine. I didn't run after him expecting to be thanked. And he's right. It's not like what I did was had any effect, but I'm glad he's alright at least. Oh, he realized. I wasn't trying to say that you didn't help though. You're really strong, so I'm sure it was a different kind of if it was a different kind of villain, you would have really shown him what for. I'm not that strong, you admitted. I both felt I both felt and was stronger in my previous world. This is just how things are. I guess I'll have to get used to it. Izuku looked like if he wanted to say anything else, but didn't quite get the chance. Have no fear, for I am here. All Might appeared out of nowhere, in his muscular form to boot. Although it didn't last long, he coughed up some blood and shivered up almost immediately. All Might! Izuku blinked. What are you doing here? The hero pursed his lips. Well, I want to set the record straight. If you hadn't been there back then, and if I hadn't heard your story to begin with, I might have really gone back on my own words. I was at risk of turning into a complete hypocrite. That's not true. Izuku frowned, lowering his gaze. It was all my fault to begin with. I'm the one who wouldn't let you leave and interfere with your work. If I hadn't gotten in your way, the slime villain wouldn't have escaped again. I'm a quirkless nobody and spoke out of turn if I knew better. That's the whole point, though, All Might insisted. You were the first to act on the scene. Out of all the people there, you raced headfirst into danger, even knowing full you were that you were quirkless and not much in strength. Your bravery made me act. It looked like your friends rushed after you as well. Heroes are meant to inspire courage in others. After all, you may not have you may not have heard this, but most top heroes are linked by following line. My body, my body moved on its own before I could think. That's what they all said, and you did the same thing. Tears began welling up in Izuku's green eyes. You could feel yourself getting emotional as well. What All Might was saying, it almost sounded like, "You can become a hero." Ah! He said the thing. All Might finished, and by that point, Izuku had already crumbled to his knees, sobbing without abandon. A smile burst across your lips. You took back what you said about All Might being stupid earlier. He was finally seeing Izuku's world with his own eyes. This was right. This was the way things were supposed to be. For the moment Izuku had saved you, there was never doubt in your mind that he would go on to save countless others too. Ah, this is so cute. Ah, my throat is dying. So let's just update this. We are at chapter 12 now. That's amazing. And that's curious. So, yeah. Let's just end this here. Let me just get the music again. There. I think there we go. Maybe it's a little bit too much. I don't care. Anyways, let me just get this. I need to get in order this thing to finish terms in a good way. Anyways, I think it's done. So, thanks again if you were here with me. If you were not, if you're watching this for some reason, thank you for the support. If you like what you're seeing, hearing on this channel, please make sure to subscribe and activate the notifications if you want to be with me reacting on stream, on live. And with everything said, as always, I will leave the link for I'll leave the link for the story in the description below for you to support the original creator. And with all that said, I think this is my time to say goodbye, and I'll be seeing you in the next time. Again, thank you so much. Bye.